Hi, this is A. Wissy. God, I ain't even tells it like a TI is. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. The topic I'm going to talk to you today is the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 17, titled Game Over. It started out with Lauren and Porsha getting out of the car, driving up to Phaedra's house and getting out of the car, and they rang the doorbell, and Phaedra answered the doorbell and said, "How y'all ladies doing?" And she gave them a hood, she gave each one of them a hood, and Porsha told Phaedra that she had been going through a lot with the divorce, and then Lonnie, yeah, Londi suddenly passing away and stuff. And Lauren said that she felt numb, and she said because her and Londi had grew up together. And Phaedra said, "Oh yeah, that's right, y'all did." And she said, with everything going on and stuff with this funeral stuff, it's hard. She said, "That's why I called you and asked you." And then Peggy said, did you call the pastor that I told you?" She said, "Yeah, I called the pastor. He said he gonna say he gonna have us doing stuff." But she said, "Yeah, wasn't he fine though?" Portia kind of smiled and looked kind of funny. And then Peggy said in her confessional that she is the mother of funerals. And they showed up, they showed up from a flashback from 2012 when she first started doing the mortuary stuff and how she was preparing her clients. Said, you want the best for your family member going home, and that's why she said she was the mother of funeral. She said, "Yeah, I have no problem helping y'all out." And then she said, Portia family also asked her to help out, with the funeral arrangements and stuff like that. And then it switched to the next scene, and the next scene was Angela walking, and then she walked up to the door, and then she rang the doorbell, and then she was talking to her therapist, Wendy, and she said she had been going to Wendy since I think it said since 2000, they said since 2007 or something like that. But anyway, uh, she said because Wendy and I first said Wendy is kind of like the third person in her marriage because they had been discussing stuff because she was talking about the time that her and Charles had separated. When he got kicked out of the basketball thing, and they escorted him out, and then they got back together. And so she was saying, "What's going on with you now? Why are you?" And Angela said, "Well, I've been going through a lot of stuff personally and financially." He said, "Oh, is it worrying you?" He said, "Oh yeah, it is worrying me." She said, and she said, "I got all of these houses and stuff that I put money into, and I'm not making any money. And Charles don't want to put no more money into the house and stuff." I said, okay. Is there some way you could work that out?" And then Angela said, "Yeah, we're working on that." She said, "Oh, I was at one of my friends' events, and this strange man walked up to me and said, 'Angela, your husband Charles is cheating on you.'" And she was saying she told Wendy that she was shocked and taken surprise. And Wendy said, "Well, how do you actually feel about that, Angela?" And Angela said, "Well, like I said, I was shocked and surprised because me and Charles had already been through something like this similar and stuff like that. And that's why I said she had explained the situation about about him getting kicked out of the game and stuff." And so she said, "Angela, do you trust Charles?" And she said, and she kind of paused and said, "Yeah, I do trust Charles. I trust him. Yeah, I trust him," and stuff like that. And stuff like that. And one thing I could say about Angela, she is trying to be transparent. I'm not sure about what's going on with her and Charles and stuff in the marriage. She's not trying to hide too much of stuff and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of people like Angela because she's really coming out here and telling her story and stuff like that. And then switch to the next scene, and the next scene was chaos at our house, and she went in her kid's bedroom, and she woke up her twins and said, "It's time for y'all to get up, time for y'all to get up and eat breakfast." And they said, "Oh, okay." And then she said, "Y'all," then while I was walking in the kitchen behind her, she said, "Y'all gonna help me cook?" He said, "Huh, help you cook?" And one of the twins said, "Yeah." And then Chloe walked in and she sat down by the window stoop. And she said, "What's going on, Mom?" He said, "Yeah, I just wish this divorce would come over with." And so he said, "Y'all gonna help me cook?" And so the doorbell ring, and then her friend came in, and her friend said, how y'all doing? She said, what y'all doing? She said, we cooking. She said, oh, y'all cooking? And she said, yeah. She said, how's everything going with you in the restaurant? She said, well, I had a couple of issues with the restaurant, but I'm working on it. It's gonna. And then one of her twins put the waffle mix in the thing. She said, oh, you forgot to put the grease in there. You forgot to put the grease in the waffle. He said, y'all supposed to be helping me cook. And she said, well, what's Chloe gonna be doing? And she said, Chloe gonna have to wind up probably being the server, the cook, and the manager, and all that stuff. And Chloe said, no, I just want to be the manager. And so, she said, well, I hope everything goes all right with you and with you in this restaurant business. He said, okay. And then switched to the next scene, and the next scene was Shamea practicing in the studio, and she said she's going to have some kind of event to showcase her music. And so while she was in the studio, she was in the studio singing a song and stuff. And everybody said, "Oh, you sound good. Shamea, you sound good. Come on." And so she invited, and Shamea said she invited her family and friends and everybody else and stuff. And Gerald was backstage with a little girl, and so she got on stage. And like I've been saying in the previous video, I'm tired of Shamea trying to be a wannabe Mary J. Blige. We already got Mary J. Blige. I mean, the whole outfit, the whole aesthetic was Mary J. Blige up and down. I know you're a fan of Mary J. Blige, but you need to be your own artist. And so she said that's what she had been wanting to do for years, music and stuff, but she never got a chance to do it. And so she got up there and she got to singing some song, and she was kind of off key, and Kelly looked kind of strange and had a kind of kind of surprised look on her face. Phaedra had her head down and had some kind of crooked smile on her face and stuff like that. And Drew said in that confession, she said, "Ooh, I came here to do conductive criticism." She said, what you call it? She said Shamea should have practiced a little bit more because she couldn't even hit that note right. She was off key, and I said she sure was off key. And they had one. She said there's a lot of industry people out there, and I remember seeing this man in glasses, and I said, oh, that look like that producer. What's it called? Brian Michael Cox, some used to black man. But anyway, he was very shocked when she couldn't get that note. And so when she got off there, she said, she went backstage. She said, yeah, you know, I sounded kind of hoarse off key. She said, I know I should have practiced a little bit more. She said, but I normally could hit those notes. I probably was a little nervous. Probably was a little nervous. I ain't been on stage in a while. And so I glammed to saying, yeah, that's right, that's right. And so she got back on there. She sung a more slow song, a ballad song. She's behind the piano. She sung that. Everybody started kind of smiling a little bit and looking a little bit happy. And then she finally sung her song about Never Had. And she got on stage, and like a lot of people said on Twitter when this episode first happened, she doesn't have any stage. She has good vocals and everything. She doesn't have no stage presence. And like I said, you would think by her bragging about she's a professional dancer, that she would have those moves and she would have those moves down flat, and she'd be doing better dancing than and stuff like that. And like people saying, she trying to talk about Drew singing and Drew stuff, but at least Drew is practicing and stuff like that. That whole showcase to me was a waste of airtime. They could have put another, they could have did something else with that another performance. But anyway, after her performance, she hugged everybody and everybody greeted her and stuff. And Britt said she did a good job to her face, but in confessional, Britt said, yeah, Shamea should have practiced that more. That wasn't right. And so and so she said, Britt, I want to talk to you. And Britt said, huh? She said, Britt, I heard that you showed Cynthia and Cynthia and Porsha some texts that I was still talking about Porsha. I wasn't talking about Porsha. You lying. She said, no, you did talk about Porsha. That's why I showed Porsha text. I do have a text. I do have the text to show you. You said that. You said that. No, you just a lie. You just a lie. And then she said, no, I'm not allowed. She said, yes, you is. And then, Britt said, I ain't got time for this. I'm finna go. She went over there and got her husband and told her husband to go. And then after that, Jared walked over and gave Shamea some flowers and told Shamea that he was proud of her and he was proud of her and stuff like that. And then it switched to the next scene. Oh, but yeah, like I said, Shamia, she knew she couldn't come for Porsha. She tried to come for Drew, and that failed. And then she looked at, I mean, I don't know why people were looking at that Kelly. I mean, I Kelly that Britt and Drew was the weakest link. But then when they fight back, everybody look how stupid and funny. And so it switched to the next scene. And the next scene was Drew taking selfies of herself, to promote her music and stuff like that, and taking pictures. And so our glam team said, "Now your phone making that bomb," and he said, "Yeah, okay." And then she asked the question, "What?" And Ralph said, "Can I come upstairs?" And she said, "Yeah, you can come upstairs." And then Drew said in her confessional that her kids are staying with her parents for a little while, so they could figure out co-parenting because the judge went them to figure out co-parenting. I was saying, yeah, uh, I guess Drew Mama probably went to talk to that judge. Some other people probably talked to that judge, told that judge that wasn't a good situation for them children to be in, and Ralph's doing all that stuff in the basement and stuff like that, and them kids knowing about it. So that's why they withdrew Mama for a while, and that's why he had to stay in the basement. And then he gonna try to say, uh, Drew, I don't know what happened. I don't know how we got here. Everything. And I was saying, man, ain't this a blimp? You faking acting for the cameras. You know how they got there. You treated Drew like a dog, and you gaslit her for 2.5 to 3 for 2.5 years, and now you're talking about you don't know how they got there. You thought things could go better, and Drew say, well, right now, I'm just focusing on us trying to be good co-parents. And then at some point we're gonna have to become friends just because we have to be co-parenting. But as far as our relationship, I just have to look at it that it didn't work out for us, didn't work out for us. He looked kind of funny and said, and I was saying, yeah, when you're a gaslighting person or a narcissistic person, you see that your money bag is leaving, and there's nothing that you could do about it. But when you had a chance to do something about it, you want to keep on doing that bad. I don't blame you and stuff like that. That was the main thing that I liked about that scene that Drew said that the judge told him they're gonna have to work out the co-parent, and until then they can stay with your grandma. I'm so glad that Drew put that part in that scene. Other than that, I really didn't like that scene and stuff like that. After that, yeah, next scene was the next scene was the next scene was everybody getting ready. No, the next scene after that was Britt inviting that family over, and Britt said that her husband Mike got married in 2020, but it was in Las Vegas, and they liked Las Vegas. And she was saying they were gonna have another wedding ceremony, and they were gonna have another wedding ceremony, and that ceremony was gonna be, and they had a big family. They had his family and that family, and they said, "Oh, what are you gonna tell us?" I said, "Oh, she might be telling us she's pregnant." I said, "Oh no, I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying we're gonna renew our vows." That was a nice, cute add-on scene. And then after that, they had Angela's event, and Angela was at her event, and she invited everybody. She hugged Drew and everybody, stuff like that. She was talking to the lady. She was saying, "Yeah, I was wondering, how did that random guy get to your event, Kelly, who invited him?" And Kelly looked at her. "Are you talking about me? I didn't invite that man. I don't know about that man." And then she said, "I don't know about the man." She said, "Why do you think? Why?" And then Portia said, "Why do you think Kelly would do it?" She said, "Well, I didn't know the man. He didn't know the man." And she said, "But me and Drew did our own little private investigation, and we found out stuff about the man." And the man said, if it was somebody in the group, it was one lady said, who is it? And then somebody came over there and told Angela it was time for her to come on the stage. She came on stage. She gave 2 or 3 awards to people for doing a non-profit charity work. And one of the people, Porsha, and Porsha said her little speech, and she came and got down. And then Drew texted Angela, told Angela that the man was out there And then Andrew said, "Well, he is right here." He told me that one of y'all said somebody in the group, and Porsha said, "Who was it?" And then Kel said, "Yeah, who was it? Tell us who was it." And then they kind of started, and they said, "Phaedra." Phaedra said, "Huh?" And then Porsha said, "No, it ain't Phaedra." She said, "Yeah, it probably is Phaedra." Porsha said, "I don't believe that, Phaedra." And then in the confession, Porsha said that Angela caused that on her own. And then Charles saw the man, told him to get out. And then Angela said, "No, Charles, I'm trying to clear names." He said, "No, no, get out." He got up in his face and said, "You better be glad these people here. What you will, I'll put your cargo." And then after that, she said she don't know what was going on with that. And then switch to the last scene where they showed Portia exercising on exercise bike, not exercise bike, on the running treadmill. Her mom opened the door and she said she was so happy that she was able to film her house. And then they had everybody background pulled up and they went out. That was 17 was very good and stuff like that. And so I really did like 17. Like I said, there was only one episode from this whole season that I didn't like. And I think it was either 5 or 6. But anyway, this season of Atlanta has been good. My next video will be about the reunion. This is A. Wesley. That ain't even tells it like a TI is. I am out.